Dear colleagues, before I begin my presentation, allow me to thank you for inviting me here. It's a great honor to be present, and I always enjoy coming in Belgrade, not because I feel I'm among colleagues, but also friends. When I was asked to give a lecture at the conference organized by your institute, I had a big, I had a big dilemma because I didn't know exactly what to talk about. Initially I thought a topic related to Serbian population in Banat in the medieval and early modern period. In the end, I thought that it would be appropriate to discuss an issue that by its very nature, I believe, could be more interesting. That's why I choose to talk about the importance of archives and libraries in Romania in researching history of the Serbs in medieval and early modern period. In most of the cases, when Romanian-Serbian relations in the Middle Ages or in the 16th, 18th century were discussed, Serbian sources referring to Romanians were usually highlighted. It all started in the late 19th century and early 20th century, and I would like to mention here the contribution of Romanian historians, Ilie Bărbulescu, Nicolae Iorga, Silviu Dragomir, Damaskin Mioc, and Ioan Radu Mircea, who promoted various Serbian historical sources in Romanian historiography or emphasized Romanian-Serbian relation over time. Some Serbian historians, such as Alexa Ivic, George Radojcic, or now Svetlana Tomin, have also highlighted certain sources, some of them unpublished, but also about the history of the Romanians. Church historians such Ilarion Zeremski and Silviu Anuichi, Romanian Silviu Anuichi, the later wrote his doctoral thesis here in Belgrade in 1970s, did nothing but search and valorize Serbian sources on the history of the Romanians, as did Ioan Dimitrie Suciu, who published documents identified in the archives and libraries of former Yugoslavia. Surprisingly, neither Romanian nor Serbian historians seems particularly interested in identifying and highlighting information about Serbian history found in Romanian archives and libraries. Of course, there are a few exceptions. And I would like to mention here the publication of the document issued by Despot Stefan Lazarevic for Tisman and Vodica monasteries, first published by Bogdan Petricecu Hașdeu in 1864. 30 years later, in 1896, Cedomir Mijatovic republished the document preserved in Romanian archives, along with another document issued by John Hunyadi, also preserved in Bucharest archives. The importance of Mijatovic's study was recognized in Romanian historiography, being published almost immediately in translation in the journal Convorbiri Literare, Literary Conversation, in Iași. I suspect the translation of Mijatovic's study was made by Ilie Bărbulescu, well known for his pro-Serbian views in that time. Mijatovic conducted his brief research when he was diplomatic envoy of the Serbian government in Romania in 1894, where he collaborated with the director of the Romanian archives, Bogdan Petricecu Hașdeu, one of Romania's first specialists in Slavic studies. Unfortunately, his efforts were not continued until recent years, when there was a renewed interest in what Romanian sources have to offer, and those Serbian historians I am referring are present here in this very room, and I believe can be easily identified. Participation in conference in Cluj was complemented by research in the archives and libraries and visit to medieval sites in Transylvania, especially those related to Lady Milica Belmužević and her residence in Hunedoara County. Here is the residence of the Milica Belmužević, Kolc Castle. Neven returned in Cluj in 2020 when he visited the archives again and copied certain documents related to Serbian Croatian family in Transylvania, as can be found in this example. Neven notes can be seen here next to the document. Turning back to what it means to conduct research in archives or libraries, identifying unpublished sources. Research in the present day is greatly facilitated by online databases, and for Romania the most important one is archivamedievală.ro, which I believe some of you are already familiar with. My interest in Serbian history goes back a long way to my university days, and comes partly from the fact I'm half Serbian by my mother's side, and partly because I came from Banat, an area that was influenced by Serbian culture very much. More than 20 years ago, when I was still living in Cluj, I did not believe that there could be documents related to Serbian history in Romanian archives or libraries. Even getting a photocopy of a book such Istoria Srba u Ugarskoj, published by Ivić in 1914, was problematic in Cluj, not to mention more recent literature. That was until I found a document related to Voivod Miloš Belmužević and his daughter Milica, when I realized for the first time that sources must exist in Romanian archive after all, and I started searching, surprised by what documents could be found. I will talk about this aspect later. I will limit myself to what Romanian archives and libraries can offer in terms of Serbian history, with a few examples that I consider significant. I must point my presentation only takes into account archives and libraries in Transylvania, especially those in Cluj and Sibiu. I have not included sources from Wallachia or Moldavia because in general they deal very little with the history of Serb, most often regarding certain marriage, alliance, or donation to the Serbian monasteries, such or documents like Despot Lazarević mentioned previous. I would like to draw attention to only one important Serbian source that can be found in Wallachia, namely Pomenik Manastir Krušedola, preserved in its original form in the archive of Severin, which as far as I know, was published only in 1996 in a photographic edition, not a modern transcription. In the many discussions I have had with my colleagues Sasha Kristic, Neven, Miloš, and those working on modern period, for example Nino or Jelena, I have to come to understand that the medieval sources preserved in Serbia are very few compared to modern ones. And in many cases, Serbian history has been written with the help of external sources. It is precisely this aspect I want to draw attention, because sources from Romanian archive and library can be very useful in understanding aspects related to the 15th, 17th century, as they are hardly used at all by Serbian historians. To give an idea about the size of medieval and early modern collection in Romania, allow me to provide you some quantitative data. As part of Arhiva Medievală project, around 55,000 documents dating from 12th century to 1600 have been scanned, of which almost 50,000 comes from Transylvania. Unfortunately, only about half are available online on the platform due to interinstitutional conflicts and difficulty of processing metadata. As you see, there are maybe another 5 more medieval and early modern documents not scanned just for Transylvania. Very rough estimates suggest that for 17th century Transylvania alone, there could be between 200 and 300,000 documents, and some consider that are very conservative estimates, because I saw people saying there are maybe 500,000 documents only for 17th century Transylvania. The sources I would like to present to you refer to the Serbian nobility and population settled in the territory of present-day Transylvania in Banat. Even though they were far from home, these people were no less representative of Serbian history as a whole. Much has been written about great Serbian noble families, and yet there is still so much to be said. It is precisely about them most of the documents preserved in the Romanian archives or library are written. Even if they are not rich as the archive in Hungary, for example, or Austria, Romanian sources can contribute to better understanding of the historical realities concerning the Serbs, especially in the 16th and 17th centuries. The families most frequently mentioned in the documents from Romanian territory are Jakšić, Belmužević, Ovčarević, and Crepović. I will begin by presenting the situation of the documents in Sibiu, a Saxon city in southern Transylvania, whose archive up to 1600, approximately 6,000 items, can be found today in the medieval archive, when, of course, it's operational and it works. It is hard to believe that documents related to Serbs could be found in a Saxon town, but we must not forget that Sibiu was the center of collection for the entire German community in Transylvania. The medieval documents are available online, so I will not dwell on them. For example, here are some documents. This one particularly was published by Panaitescu between the two world wars. But there are other documents related, not published, related with Dimitar Jakšić and the murder of Valachian voivode Mihnja, a crime committed because it seems Mihnja raped Dimitar's sister, who was married to the great boyar Prvu, the nephew of the former voivode Radu the Great. In the same archive, we will find, information about the Jovan Nenadat uprising. Many documents have been published in Hurmuzaki, documents on the history of Romanians, or in various journals, but there are still unpublished documents. A less researched collection, like this one, unfortunately not available anymore. A less researched collection is one bearing the name of Baron Bruckenthal, where medieval and modern documents can be found in original and copy. This is the invitation for the wedding of Margaret Bakic. Like this copy of Serbia Illustrata by Paul Ritter Vitezovic, which was copied in Zagreb in 1777. And I understand in 2010 was edition of this manuscript. For those interested in studying Romanian-Serbian relation in Austro-Hungary during the modern period, there are two institutions in Sibiu where they are sure to find documents. The Astra Library, which has gathered collection on political and cultural aspects related to Romanian and other people in dual monarchy, and the Archive of the Orthodox Metropolitan of Transylvania, where there are the documents on Serbian-Romanian church relations, including a very large collection containing the correspondence of Andrei Shaguna, the Metropolitan of Transylvania, Romanian Metropolitan of Transylvania, including with Serbian bishops and with Patriarch Rajacic. Some, I think, more than half of these letters were published in 2007 in this book. And I know that because Serbian priests from my hometown, Rešica, Vasa Lupulovic, worked on the publication of this correspondence. He was the only one capable to transcribe and translate these letters written in Church Slavonic. There is also an entire dossier on the process of church separation in the 19th century, but I'm not sure how to access these funds because the church has its own rules and research depends on the will of the local metropolitan. By far, the most important sources for the history of Transylvania and Banat are located in Cluj. These are the National Archives, Cluj branch, the Academy Library, and the Central University Library. The archive in Cluj, visited by Neven and Sasha in previous years, are richest in documents that contain, I believe, enough information for the history of the Serbs. And I will give you some figures again. The Bistrica Municipal Archive, for example, are divided. It's a town in northern Transylvania, a former Saxon town. Is divided into 7 series. The most important series is the first one because it contains all the documents up to 700. There are 925 documents up to 1526 and around 25,000 pieces up to 700, most of them from the 17th century, around few hundred in each year of the 17th century. Even in such collection, which concern this Saxon town, item related to Serbian history can be found and identified, as you see on this slide. It's about Jovan, this is the Mihnja, the murderers of Mihnja, Cepelus and Jakšić. This crime happened in 5010 in Sibiu, and others related to Jovan Nenada's uprising. I'm not sure this last document is published or not. One of the richest collections in Cluj belongs to the Banfi family and contains several thousand documents relating to the 17th century. One example I believe is significant, Register 6 alone, which contains the record of the families related to Banfi, comprise around 250 fascicles, which containing between 5 and maybe more than 100 documents. It was here, among the documents in the Banfi collection, in the register number 2, not 6, that I was surprised to find most of the documents regarding the Jakšić family that I published in Initial in 2018. Following my research, my wife Livia found quite a few more documents related to Ana Jakšić, the daughter of Petar Jakšić. Most of those documents are available were in fact available on Archiva Medievale, but others are not uploaded online. Keep in mind that many documents related to the Jakšić family in Romanian archive are still unpublished and could very well be included in a Diplomatarium Jakšicianum, along with unpublished documents from Hungary, for example. I would like to briefly mention other Serbian noble families settled in Transylvania, about whom documents can be found in Cluj. Those of you who read my article about Nikola Crepović, published in 2-3 years ago in Istorijski časopis, will have seen that the sources include documents from various collections in the Cluj archive, namely the fonds of Kemény family and Balintit, and the Academy library there. I would like to draw attention of about the Balintit family, about whom I intended to send the paper to Initial, but unfortunately I did not have time to finish it. This family was related to both the Crepović and Ovčarević families. The Balintit nobles rose to the ranks of Transylvanian nobility, but as you can see in these documents, they fabricated a false genealogy dating back to the 14th century in order to enhance their prestige. As you can read, there are two brothers named Uiloki. In the 14th century, the King Louis gave them the dignity of barons of the kingdom, which was totally absurd. And how they took the name of Balintit. Here is the Hungarian text. When in some battle they helped the king, and some of the members of the family, Valentin the Big, came in to the help for the king. Balintit, Valentin is here, so they changed the name, which is totally stupid. The family don't want to accept the real origin, and instead created this elaborate fantasy in order to integrate into Transylvanian nobility. But in fact, as those documents, these are from archive in Vienna, mentioned, the first known member of the family was Stefan Balintic, or Belentic, a Serbian captain of Lipova. But, you know, it was not enough for those members of the family want to be recognized as full members of the Transylvanian nobility. The documents preserved today in family's collection, which ended up in the archives in Cluj, revealed not only the estate they own, but also their kinship with Serbian families mentioned above, Crepovic and Ovčarević, a sign that they still belong to a Serbian cultural space, at least in their choice of wives. Unfortunately, only some of the family documents are available in Archiva Medievale. Many of them written in Hungarian are not, but family adapt and use almost all the time Hungarian language to adapt to the new linguistic realities in Transylvania. Here is interesting, the name Theodor, it's quite unique among the noblemen of Transylvania. It's not specific in that space. And Wolfgang Utkovic, maybe Serbian, maybe Croat, I don't know. As you can see, only these few funds can provide new leads in researching of Serbian history of Serbs settled in Transylvania. It must be said that, to this day, none of the Serbian families who arrived in Transylvania have been the subject of systematic research, as far as I know, with very few exceptions. Very little has been written in general about South Slavic communities in Transylvania. Given how things are evolving in Romanian and historiography in Transylvania today, there will be no research in this direction in the future, which is why Serbian historians should take action in this regard. The second important location in Cluj that contains documents relating to the history of the Serb is the Academy Library. Unfortunately, the manuscript collection kept in the library have been not digitized yet, so the identification and copying of documents must be done manually. Thousands of manuscripts from the collection of Transylvanian Museum, Erdei Museum, and the Protestant and Catholic colleges in Satu Mare, Cluj, and Oradea are kept here. Among the most important collections on medieval and early modern history are those left by Mike Sándor and Count József Kemény. The later, Kemény, left behind several hundred of volumes of copy of documents on various aspects related in particular to the history of Transylvania. Part of the Count's collection consists of about 50 volumes entitled Diplomatari Transilvanici, Appendix Diplomatari Transilvanici, and Diplomatari Transilvanici Supplementum. These documents contained in his collection are extraordinary source of knowledge about the 14th, 17th century, especially since many of the original documents copied here have since been lost. However, it is a major problem, as Kemeny is considered one of the greatest forgers of medieval documents for purpose of supporting his political views or historical theories. In general, however, his forgeries concern the early period, unless the 16th, 17th century. Moreover, the false documents mainly focus on certain Hungarian noble families, including his own, as the Count sought to prove his very ancient origins. Another series of forgeries concerned the Romanian population of Transylvania, especially since it was a time of political disputes before 1848 revolution. As for the documents concerning the history of the Serbs, of Serbian families, refugees in Transylvania, it is difficult to believe that Kemeny had any real motivation to forge those documents. In the case of these copies related to Serbs, I have identified documents whose originals are preserved in the archive, which is why I'm convinced that they can be used with sufficient confidence. It was precisely in this manuscripts volume that I identified many years ago the document mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, which led me to write the study on Miloš Belmužević. The document itself is not particularly remarkable, but in addition to contributing to our knowledge of Serbian noble family in medieval Hungary, it brings a new element related to family relation. Let me give you an example. Until I found this document, following Aleksijevich, historiography considered Olivera to be Miloš's wife, when in fact she was his mother. Moreover, these documents show us that the voivode had been married to a certain Veronica, with whom he had a daughter, Milica. Here we have a single document that clarifies from the outset of a multitude of genealogical aspects that until then had only been a subject of historiographical hypothesis. And this is not the only document concerning the history of the Serbs in Kemeny's collection. As there are other regarding the Jakšić families, as you may see here, and others about the late fate of the Belmužević's daughter, Milica. From these documents, we know she was married with another Serbian nobleman, Petar Ovčarević. And of course, other documents connected to different Serbian figures from Transylvania in the 60s or in the 17th centuries. Here is a document for Petar Rac. Rac being the name which Hungarian designates the Serbs in the kingdom. I have not dealt extensively with the situation of Serbs in Transylvania at the end of 16th century or beginning of the next one, but as you can see in those images, there were members of this community who placed themselves in the service of princes like this Petar Rac and benefit from their generosity. Even though I have copy only of few, I remember coming across many documents in this collection about the families with the name Rac from Teiuș. This is another document for this. This one is from Balintit. You see, they conserve a lot of documents connected to the Serbian history. Definitely this document is not published. Maybe someone is interested. In the community, Serbian community from Teiuș, a town, as you see, in central Transylvania, which I think was the most important Serbian or Sud Slavic community from the entire principality. The example presented here come only from a series of manuscripts in Kemen's collection. I have only partially explored two other important series, named Cartophylacium Transylvanicum and Codex Diplomaticus, but they are certainly also contain documents related to the history of Serbs, as he copies almost everything, because before 1870, the Transylvanian archives were kept in Alba Iulia, Gyula Fehérvár. So Kemeny go there and copy, he and his other employees of him. That's why those documents are badly transcribed from the original. The last institutions include that there are some, also some Slavonic and Romanian with Cyrillic manuscript in the library of the Academy, but really I don't know what they contain. Maybe someone, there are, I think, few hundreds there. Probably is something connected to Serbian history, I don't know. The last institution includes that preserve documents, it's the Central University Library, visit by colleagues Sasha Krstić and Neven Isailović in 2015, more in a hurry to be honest. In special collection room, there are several documentary collections that in theory should have been ended up in the archive, but for various reasons remain there. Of course, here too we are dealing with a collection left behind by Count Kemeny, but this time it consists of original documents organized in the so-called Diplomatarium Autographum. Among these documents, I identify one concerning disputes involving the Jakšić family, which was also published in my study Acta Jakšićana, and it was also here that my colleague and friend Sasha Krstić identified the document he published in his study on the biography of great voivode Mikhail Angelović. This is the document. The library also holds several thousand manuscripts, but unfortunately just over 100 have been digitized to this day. Both, as mentioned before, in the library of the university and academy library are containing Cyrillic script manuscripts and different old and rare books. Those interested in cultural history can find their impressive collection, including numerous publications in Slavonic, Romanian, German, or Hungarian. And here I give you an example to a guide of righteousness for Slavonic, Serbian, non-united youth, available this time online on the university library website. For the 18th century, there is no point in making quantitative assessment because the documentary material is enormous. I remember someone in the 60s tried to estimate how many documents can be in Transylvania from the 18th century, and he estimates just, I don't know, 2 million, 2 million, 3 million, something like that. It's too much for a single person to look in such huge amount of documents. I will stop here with my presentation. I think I have this 30-35 minutes, but not before to drawing attention to a potential represented by Batianeum Library in Alba Iulia, which has begun to be scanned and partially available online on the website of the National Library of Romania. There are especially medieval documents available there. Instead of conclusion, I prefer to look to the future and, why not, to consider a possible collaboration and to valorize these sources, because what I have presented here is only an insignificant part of what I believe the archives and libraries of Romania can offer to the history of the Serbs, especially if we consider the modern era and the contemporary documents are in hundreds of thousands just for this problem. Thank you very much. I hope it was not very boring.
Koji nam je predstavio jedan koristan vodič kroz arhivsku građu dela arhiva Europske unije koji se tiču srpske istorije u srednjem veku na početku rane moderne, da će svakako koristiti našim kolegama koji se bave novim nevidljivim temama koje se na neki način pokrivaju kroz ove arhive. Još jedan put vam hvala, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I sada sledi naravno diskusija s običajnim bit rada naše rodine. Kolega Magina je nekoliko puta spominjao, nekoliko kolega, nadam se da će Aveo koleginica Radosavljević da damo reč.
I have a question. I would like to know your opinion about more research of the Romanian-Serbian relations through history. Do you think it would be useful if Serbian historians would learn Romanian language more and Romanian historians would learn Serbian language more? Or you believe that it's enough just knowing Latin or Hungarian or German? Do you think it would be like a useful step for the future research in general?
Thank you for your question. Yes, to be honest, it's a great asset to learn as much as possible foreign language. Why not? But for this period, for the medieval, early modern, I'm not sure Serbian or Romanian language will help too much because
maybe Latin is more.
Yes, most of the documents in Transylvania are written in Latin and from second half of the 16th century are in Hungarian. So the sources are not in Serbian or Romanian, very few. Maybe from 16th century Transylvania are maybe 20 documents in Romanian or so.
Yes, maybe for somebody who wants 19th or 20th century to...
Yes, but if you work on, I don't know, 18th, 19th century, it would be very good to learn some Romanian or Serbian. There were some Romanian and Serbian historians learning the language of the other because they use intensively the literature produced in Romania or in Serbia. I give you that example of, it was in fact a priest, SERBIAN, who defended his PhD here in Beograd in 1972, 73, something like that. And the former director of the Institute in Cluj, Neven and Sasha Mitin, Nicolae Edoiu, spent 1 year, I think, in the 70s here in Belgrade, learning Serbian. There was, under the communist regime, was an exchange of researchers learning the language of
other... Yes, that was my
yes.
point, actually.
Now, in fact, those opportunities are no longer anymore because the academies don't have enough money to send people to...
But same problem.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And it is something more tragic in my opinion because, for example, Romanian Academy sent us some, I don't know, inform us if you want to apply for, I don't know, a scholarship or a collaboration with Slovak Academy, Serbian Academy, but only if you have a common topic. They don't give me scholarship if it's something not connected with Romanian history.
Yes, I understand.
And it's very difficult to find someone interested in Serbian-Romanian relation, I don't know, in the 19th century.
Yes.
How many of you are working on such?
Not very much.
That's the right question. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Other? Kolega Krstić.
First of all, I would like to thank you for this interesting and very useful presentation. It's for me very useful. And for other colleagues who maybe not know, I have to say that Adrian Magina published more documents regarding Serbs in Transylvania and Banat than every other Serbian historian since Alex's age. So,
thank you for that report.
Yes, it should be.
This is my mother's side.
So I have two questions. That document you present us about the murder of Cepeuš and Dmitry Akšić in report to Bistrica.
Yes.
Is it the document you published in Initial?
No, it's not the same.
It's not the same. So it's
No,
a known document.
no. No, not this one. This one?
Yes.
No, it's something else. I don't think this is published.
No, it's not.
I hope that you will find these documents on the Archiva Medievale, because
Make a photo.
it's free.
It's free. 3 platform.
And another question, you mentioned Tiviš or Teviš, that town in
Tejuš.
In Serbian Teviš. So it's interesting because during the Banat uprising in 1595, there's a mention of that Bishop Theodore of Brigitz escaped there, and according to other sources, he was murdered by Ottomans after the. So is there possibility to find some documents of
I'm not sure, because now it's a very small town. I don't know, maybe 10,000 people live there. It's
but those documents about
those documents near Tejuš was in Ajud, not Hungarian, was a big archive. The archive of the Alba or Feher County was kept there, and also the Kendefi family archive was kept there. But in 1848, in the revolution, the Romanians, the Romanian peasants uprising, they burned everything there. And we have only few parts survived up to date from that huge archive. From Kendefi, we have in Cluj, for example, the register of made in 1822 or something, with very good abstracts in Latin and Hungarian, but the original documents are lost. It's unfortunate, because so many documents. And I give another example. A fund of Romanian nobility, Ivui, from Karasevic, was considered lost in the 1870s and appeared now in 2016 in Hungary.
The originals or copies?
No, originals.
Originals.
Yeah, in 1990, I think, in a town near Rešica, it's called Bokša, very small town. It was the archive of the Catholic parish there, starting with documents from early 18th century. I think the oldest document was 1725 or something like that. And that archive just disappeared. And 20 years later was found in Germany. So you can understand there is a dilemma here. I told you I have my village, my church archive for my village is now mine. Yeah, and the documents are not so old. I think the oldest document is from the 1820s. But I keep it safe.
Important. Hvala.
Veljko Bogdanović from the Institute of Byzantine Studies across the street. I have a question regarding the archives in Sibiu.
Okay.
Because I am right now doing research on the relics of Saint Theodore Theron that are kept in Nohol Monastery.
Okay.
And the only existing description of the origins of the relics in the monastery is a description from early 18th century that describes the so-called Furta Sacra from Sibiu. So they localized the relics in Sibiu.
Okay.
And it is truly interesting because we know the first mention of the relics in the monastery is from 1555. And according to my research, that is a work in progress, it's not indefinitely, my opinion is that it might be a gift from the Wallachian princess Despina. That she might be the one that gifted the relics to the monastery, because the relics of Saint Theodore Theron are something that originates from Constantinople, and it is something that only the richest of the rich could afford. And we know that Despina had personal relations with Maxim Brankovic, etc. So my question is, did you find anything regarding Despina, the widow of Njagova Besarab in the Sibiu archives?
Could be there because...
And of course, I have to add something, sorry. It might not be related to Serbian history.
Yes,
she was the widow of Njagova Besarab.
There is a huge fund of Slavonic and Cyrillic script documents in Sibiu.
Yes.
Most of the documents were already published because Romanian historians search there for many years, since the end of the 19th century. And I don't know, first you must check in what is published. Look, Panayotescu, and there are some, if you need some references, I could send you PDFs of the documents from Sibiu archive already published. I'm not sure if there is something, but those archives are now available online, most of them. I'm not sure. There are some studies about Despina in Romanian,
of course,
but you know those studies.
and in Serbian.
I'm not sure. There are documents also not scanned in Sibiu, like in any archive, because they have some so-called non-inventory funds. And those non-inventory funds, they don't scan. So there are maybe 2, 3, 4 in each archive. So multiply with tens of archives and see what it is. I know the situation in Cluj. There are 3 or 4 which font containing maybe hundreds of documents from 16th, 17th century. So it's about 3,000–4,000 documents only included, not scanned.
Okay, thank you very much.
No, još nekog?
I just wanted to ask you, maybe you checked, maybe not, did you find something, or do you expect something can be found in the county archives of Arad County or Bihor County in Oradea? For Serbs? For Croats, of course. Croats I did find, but Serbs.
Maybe, but in Arad for later period, not for medieval and 17th century, maybe definitely for 18th century, for 19th century, there are a lot of documents. If you are interested, like Jelena, Austro-Hungarian state and what happened there. There are a lot of documents in Timișoara and Arad. In Arad especially, they have a very nice archive in the bishopric there. But again, it's church, and to go there to kiss the hand of the relation.
That's the main one.
First of all, thank you, Adi, for the nice lecture. And my question is, how long you can trace descendants of Serbian prominent or noble family in Transylvania to the second half of 17th century to the 18th century?
Good question. I think up to the 17th century, because like Valentić, they chose to change their identity.
Yeah.
They want to integrate. Look like Ana Jakšić, definitely born in a Serbian family, but she can be considered a Hungarian noble lady. And they changed because they, by marriage, especially women, came into prominent Hungarian families, and they adapt to learning Hungarian and using only Hungarian. Their children are Hungarian, are not Serbian. And maybe in those small communities like Tejuš can be found some Serbians or Serbian influences, but I have doubts they still use in the 17th century Serbian language. Because where among Romanians, among I don't know, Hungarians, and some of them we have some data because they are Orthodox. They use Romanian priests because we don't have Serbian priests. They use Romanian priests. They married with Romanian woman or vice versa, and they transform into Romanians. But they kept their Serbian name, Rac, or some name in which is traditionally, but otherwise
Only remembers.
Only remember, but they are in fact Romanians, or they became members of the Hungarian nobility.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ima li još? Ukoliko nema, thank you for the presentation.